Well, add this to the long list of broken promises by President Obama, his use of signing statements and executive orders. Apparently not satisfied with Congress, the president is increasingly bypassing them and doing what he wants, something he assailed the previous administration for. This is all part of the administration's, they call it, "We Can't Wait" agenda. Joining me now, Gretchen Hamel, Director of Public Notice. This is outrageous, and I want you to hear the president a few years ago calling out the previous president on the same thing. Here he is.
That's not part of his power. But this is part of the whole theory of George Bush, that he can make laws as he's going along. I disagree with that. I taught the Constitution for 10 years. I believe in the Constitution, and I will obey the Constitution of the United States. We're not going to use signing statements as a way of doing an end run around Congress.
And yet, he's done 20, one of them today. Bush did 100, but let me tell you, I think Obama's giving him a run for his money. What do you say?
I think he may be giving him a run for his money, but this is a problem that we've been seeing with this president. He said one thing to get elected, and he's doing another thing. And I think the American public is becoming more and more aware of this. And 55% of the American public wants to see Congress and the White House work together. And that's of a recent poll. So there's no need for this. And it doesn't allow much for the democratic process. And that's what is supposed to happen here. As the president said, it's part of the Constitution to be able to debate these things and have your elected representative represent your side of the story.
All right, but just to play devil's advocate here, they have not gotten together on almost anything at all.
No.
They've really pushed back on each other. The president says it's absolutely necessary, his "we can't wait" agenda. He says he's running against Congress. Here again, the president.
We can't wait for an increasingly dysfunctional Congress to do its job. Where they won't act, I will.
What do you make of that?
Well, you have to have a willing negotiating partner. And I think Congress and the White House have seen that this isn't going to happen. This is not a marriage that is going to work. And it's mainly because they don't want it to work. When is the last time that you actually saw the House, the Senate, and the president actually sit down and have a real conversation about real solutions? And they don't. And that's the problem here, is that there is no trust in this relationship. And because of that, they will not be working together.
They're headed for divorce, that's for darn sure. Okay, well, you look at the number of issues that we've handled in this fashion. Cap and trade, no child left behind. Remember the waivers we gave out. Consumer Financial Agency chief appointed without congressional approval, middle of the night, they were on vacation. What do you make of this kind of thing, and is there any way to stop it from happening?
Well, it looks like there is no way to stop it from happening. When the president was able to make an appointment and go I guess decades of presidents of not actually appointing someone in less than 3 days, he went and did it. So I don't know if there's much that we can do other than we just need to have an outcry from the public, an outcry from those on Capitol Hill to call for a democratic process.
I thought maybe people were just getting up in arms maybe too easily, and then we actually looked at some of the language. Here's one of these orders, executive orders, and let me read it to you. This is appended to a bill about detainees in Afghanistan, and I was shocked at the language. It says, sections 1023 through 1025, referring to the law, needlessly interfere with the executive branch's processes for reviewing the status of detainees. We don't like the law, we're going to ignore the law. Going forward, consistent with congressional intent as detailed in the conference report, my administration will interpret this section as granting the Secretary of Defense broad discretion. In other words, those 50,000 words you read before, forget about them. We're making our own law here.
Well, and this is just one area, executive orders that are going around the law. But what about the regulations? The regulations that are increasing at a record pace, it seems like.
EPA?
Yes, the American public is very aware of the regulations and how they feel like there are new laws that are being created without any consent from Capitol Hill.
Well, I think the irony here, of course, is the president actually calling out the previous president and then doing the exact. There must be something in the water at the White House.
A lot of hypocrisy. A
lot of hypocrisy. I want you to respond, though, to something David Axelrod was talking about, because you were talking about how there's no common ground. They can't even talk to each other. It's like a bad marriage. Here's David Axelrod this weekend.
I think a lot of Republicans in Congress want to cooperate, know better, but they're in the thralls of this reign of terror from the far right that has dragged the party to the right. Governor Romney and the party has gone way off to the right.
Hasn't there been a reign of terror on the left? Isn't it the president that's dragging the party left?
I mean, haven't you heard of an Occupy movement? I mean, I think that's our ability for the right and the left to both have their sides of the story, to both have a movement, and to both raise up and bring their voice to what is happening. But there is no reign of terror that is keeping one side, and he's had plenty of opportunities. Hello, he pushed his agenda. He pushed the left-wing agenda. He pushed health care through, but he didn't even cooperate on some things that were bipartisan, like Simpson-Bowles and their debt commission.
Good points all. Gretchen, thanks for coming on tonight. Absolute pleasure to see you. All right, if Congress doesn't act and